the light of sorrow, working for the joys of the bright tomorrow. Carrying my cross, carrying my cross, carrying my cross. Wisdom, show me the right.
Good night, everyone. Good night also to all those who are listening via Von Radio and also viewing this streaming meeting via Facebook and all of the social media platforms. It's good to be here again at the campaign headquarters of the Concerned Citizens Movement right here at the Caribbean Cove. Tonight is a Saturday night, and this is, I believe, our third Saturday night coming here to this particular venue to speak to you who are gathered here and also to all who are listening and viewing throughout the world. Persons have continued to follow this great CCM party and our meetings simply because we are the best. And as they say, in a particular institution, of on radio, I must say, only the best will do. And that is why we have come, and we have come every night with what we feel is clean, wholesome views and opinions and also facts that we can present to you every night that you can latch on to, and so as to make a decision come June 5th of this year.
Alexis Jeffers and Eric Evelyn.
You see, I'm talking a certain way because I'm still trying to nurse my voice. But I'll make it through. And tonight, I had to laugh because we told Eric to be short, but I didn't realize he was going to be that short. Eric, you have to learn to strike the balance between long and short. No. Anyway, I'm just kidding. That's my good friend Eric, and I'm just talking about him this way because I can. But ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be here. And it's always good to come to a CCM rally. And when I come to this rally, even if I say I'm going to be a bit more subdued, as soon as I get behind the microphone, I'm revved up and ready to go. Well, you're saying short, but I'm going to talk. When I get a bit too long, well, I'm going to leave it up to you to tell me to come down. But listen, I started last night and the night before speaking about what is happening up in Nevis 11. I have said to you that apparently the candidate has gone in hiding and is sending out all kind of persons to make calls throughout the constituency to encourage persons to vote for him. And everyone whom they have called have mentioned to me that they have said to those callers, send the candidate to me to ask for their vote. Well, I know the candidate won't come, so I have gone, and I want to say to the people of St. James, for example, because I know down in St. Thomas's, most if not all of the campaign paraphernalias have been given out down there. Well, I have sought to give out my own campaign paraphernalias, the bag with the t-shirt, the hat, headset and whistle, and also, we have some watches this time. So it is indeed my pleasure going around and handing those out. You know why? I go by myself for a reason as well too. I want to interact with my people. I want my people to say to me exactly what is on their mind. I want them to articulate the things that are impacting them, whether positively or negatively. The negative things we want to make sure we can fix them and bring about a change. The positive things we'll want to build on those and ensure that we can continue to make a difference in the lives of the people of Nevis 11 and by extension the people of Nevis. So I've gone around with those bags, and of course some persons are still awaiting the receipt of their bags, but we're going to be there. I'm going to be there, so I'll continue to do so. But it always brings a joy to my heart when I can walk up to anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're a supporter of Alexis Jeffers and the CCM party, but it gives me great pleasure to come out there and interact and bring those goodies to you. So I'll continue tomorrow, I'll continue the day after, and the day after that, and I'll continue coming all the way down to, I believe the DJ, I gotta tell you, get it right. Get it right, bring it in when it should come. Well, they'll get it right before the week is done. But I want to always come out and interact with my people and to make sure that I'm getting whatever message is being brought from them to me or from me to them so that we can make things better for all of us. Your CCM party in government and your CCM party over the years have sought to make it our business to put people at the front and center of all that we do. We have sought to ensure that we bring jobs. We have sought to ensure that we improve our education system. We have sought to bring housing and proper housing, that is. We have sought to develop the infrastructure here on the island of Nevis. Water improvement, water enhancement. We have sought to do every facet of development that would ensure that progress is brought to the people of Nevis and the island of Nevis. So when I come out to speak, and when I come to greet you, I want you to put these things to me so that I can make sure I can bring about those changes that need to be made. But ladies and gentlemen, this evening, I want to continue with some of the things that I started talking about last night. I spoke about the NHLDC last night. The Premier did speak about NHLDC as well. But one of the things that I told myself when I was given the privilege to lead that institution and the ministry and departments associated with that institution, that is the Ministry of Agriculture, under which the NHLDC falls. I said at some point in my journey, I want to look back at what we have done and what we have sought to do to ensure that our journey is one that includes the people of Nevis, include our young men and young women, and to ensure that they are benefiting from the resources of the island of Nevis. But before I go there, I want to say that when we assumed responsibility of that institution, all of you in this meeting here this evening, all of you who are listening and viewing would know what the conversation was like prior to 2013. It was no secret to us here in the island of Nevis what was happening at that institution. You heard about steel gone missing. All sort of lumber, plywood, and all kind of houses were being built. Lands were going in left, right, and center. All kind of issues pertaining to land. I don't want to go into all of the houses and land that one minister would have accumulated for himself and his families. But I want to say to you that one of the transactions that caught my eyes when I undertook the responsibilities there was a transaction that was done by the former manager of that institution. One whereby he sought to impersonate his father and sold a piece of land to the corporation for $187,000.
Yes, I.
When I looked at it, and I can speak about it because we received a judgment regarding that particular transaction, and it was in the favor of the people of Nevis, not me. Even though I was attached to that particular court case, it was not about me. It was about ensuring that we secure what was and what belonged to the people of Nevis. That transaction, in my opinion, was one of the most egregious transaction I could ever think about. How on God's earth someone who is entrusted with the responsibilities of managing an institution can seek to undertake to sell land, a piece of land to the corporation as the manager for $187,000, and of course he would have received $125,000 up to the point in time when he went away from that particular position and went abroad. When I saw that, I discontinued any further payment to that individual. Well, we did evaluation ourselves and we realized that something was amiss. And that is why I decided and determined at that point in time, along with the board of directors, that we couldn't pay a penny more. So the gentleman took us to court. Well, he has that right. We went to court. And after the judge would have heard that matter, the judge said, no way, this cannot stand. Cannot stand. So the people of Nevis would have won the right to demand their $125,000 back. Well, I have instructed our lawyers to tell the gentleman, pay as soon as possible. No time wasted. The payment hasn't been made yet. I haven't heard about any appeal to the matter as well. What are you going to appeal anyway? Because as far as I'm concerned, those lands, if they had belonged to Eustace Senior, Eustace Junior was saying it's his land. And they were not his lands. So we are saying that we need 100, not we. When I say we, let's say we, because it includes myself. We want $125,000 back. And someone say with interest as well, of course, yes.
CCM
I want to say to you that those monies is just a small example of the various transactions that took place there, where the financial burden was brought on the people of Nevis, but they were living well while you were catching hell in this country or in this island. So we won that case. We won that case. Because, you know, there are many other cases to come to, you know, we're going to win more. Because any judge that sits on those matters and examine the truth and the veracity of the evidence that is brought, they will tell you that something is not right about what took place at that NHLDC over those years. When those, well, Vance had a word for them, 2 words, were in charge of that institution. There are other cases to come, but one by one, we're going to take the matters to the court and let the court decide. But how could you take up lands that are not yours to sell to an institution? You see, if we did not come to government in 2013, you know, all of that would have gone through clean as a whistle. Maybe we would not have gotten the lands at all or any title to those lands, because you understand the lands didn't belong to the seller. And if they don't belong to the seller, then they can't produce title for those lands. And that is where the problem lies. And I pointed that out to you because when these people, he is not running, he's not putting his name on a ballot, but he was a part of an institution that was run by the NRP, a minister who was responsible in the NRP administration. So when it's all said and done, all of them knew what was going on, because I tell you what, the same fellow up there in Nevis 11, he was the one who was in there handling that case. But he was a member of the board as well. The minister that was responsible for that board and that institution, he came in there to give evidence as well. They all knew that something was wrong with that transaction, but they came in to defend the transaction that could not stand what we say in time, the litmus test. But why would they want to come to fight something that was not appropriate in the first place? But that is just a part of them. That is how they are. But I am glad that the people of Nevis on January 18th of 2013 determined that it was time to turn a new page, go in a new direction, usher in a decent government in this island. And I bring this up because we have come to you in this election. And we have to remind you of some of the things of the past to make sure that you do not make a mistake in these elections to put anyone from that party in any position to make such decision again. Because you know, if you make that mistake, if you think they were bad in the past, Lord of mercy, give them another chance and you will know how barley grow. You will find out how barley grow in this island. And I'm putting it to you because time after time, as voters on this island, we tend to forget where we have come from. We tend to forget the achievements that we've had under a decent government and have sought to listen to some of the rhetoric coming from the other side and be convinced. I'm telling you tonight, kindly disregard some of the nonsense that is coming from the other side. Your CCM party have performed. Your CCM party have sought to turn back the hands of time in this country from when NRP was there, when they took us down a road. Took us down a road of destruction where they brought pain and poverty on us here on the island of Nevis. But while things were difficult, while our young men and young women were struggling in this island, while our parents, or many of the parents out there were struggling to send their children to school, all of them inside there, those who were in charge of the NHLDC, those who were in charge of some of the other institutions here on the island, they were living well. And while they were living well, you were catching, and you can finish that. So I start that way because we said before and we're saying again. I did say a while ago that we are not going to turn back the hands of time and go back to the NRP. Let me say it again. We cannot turn back the hands of time in this country. We cannot turn back the hands of time. We have to keep pressing on. Move forward with the CCM party. I have a simple mantra. I have a simple mantra. Going back is not the way forward. Going back is not the way forward. And that's why we're moving forward in Nevis 11, because we're not going back to the NRP in Nevis 11 for these federal elections. We are not going back to Patrice Nisbet because we're moving forward. We're not turning back to the hands of time again because we need to be pushing forward. We have a song, Push Forward, right? Okay. You should have done jumping with that as soon as I say push forward. DJ, you're sleeping, come on. When you hear push forward, boom, push forward with the song. We're moving forward. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, let me get into some things now in terms of what we intend to do with the resources that we'll achieve and receive through our union with Team Unity. I have said to the young men and young women over there in Cotton Ground, and we are in the process of putting together that design for a new stadium right there at the Cotton Ground Playfield. Those will be done locally, yes, but it will be done with the resources that we'll receive, our rightful share out of our arrangement with Team Unity moving forward. We have articulated every night some of the things that we have gotten, many of the things we have gotten over the last 5 years. Those were achieved through our union with the People's Labour Party and the PAM Party. But you see that same playfield over there? Yes, it was done by the NRP, and you give them credit. And we are a mature party because we'll give credit where credit is due. So they would have done that. But there is still much more work to be done. And we believe that once we undertake the upgrade of Grove Park, which is an upgrade in the amount of just about $15 million, we will be able to spend some in Cotton Ground, because once that upgrade is being done at Grove Park, cricket will still have to be played, football will still have to be played, sporting events will still take place. The question is, where will that happen? And that is why I do believe that Cotton Ground presents a very good, the playfield over there at Cotton Ground presents a very good opportunity for us to upgrade that facility. Pavilion, bathrooms, visitors, home teams, each having their own dressing room over there. I know Eric will tell me down at Ball Pasha, that is. Ball Pasha also represent an alternative. But of course, there's nothing wrong with having two. You know, we have always said that we can attract any cricketing competition here in terms of whether it's a youth tournament sponsored by the Leeward Island Cricket Board. So if you bring 5 teams in here, for example, you can have a match in Cotton Ground, you can have one at Ball Pasha, all at the same time. So there's nothing wrong with having a second or third or fourth. So Cotton, I can make that commitment to you. We have said that when we were speaking to you during the by-election, that we are coming, and we are coming to upgrade that facility with a brand new pavilion over there. I have said that our representation will be people-centered. It means that everything we do, it will be all about the people, especially our young men and young women. And why we focus on our young men and young women is because they are the future. At least they are the present, but also the future. And in terms of the future, we want to ensure that we are developing our young men and young women in a wholesome way. Sport can be that way to develop their minds and their physical abilities. So that is something that I would want to commit to from this very platform. I have also said that all up and down Navy's 11, those who have represented for 20 years never saw the need to include anyone from Navy's 11 in any of the national boards or national committees that exist in the Federation. I think the capabilities are there. The intellectual capacity exists in that constituency. So anyone from that constituency can find themselves participating and contributing to policy development and programs to impact our beautiful federation. So the commitment is there to ensure that our human resource capacity in that constituency will be looked after so that the contribution can be made to the development of this federation. Don't talk about infrastructural development. Once the resources are had, then infrastructural development will continue all up and down Nevis 11. All up and down Nevis. I want to say to you this evening that we can be proud of what we have accomplished before, but there's still more work to be done. And we have come to this particular crossroad in our development as a federation, but more so as an island. And as the island of Nevis look forward to the next 5 years in the federal arrangement, the island of Nevis and its people can be certainly assured that your CCM party will continue to work and work assiduously on your behalf. Many persons would ask, well, how come we didn't get much more in the first 5 years? And that might be a question that can be asked. But I will answer you and say, why didn't we get much more over the last 20 years? So I'm here to say to you tonight that 5 years represent much more, 4 times more than what we have gotten in 20 years. We said we got nothing. And if we can articulate almost 30 plus projects that we would have undertaken in the last 5 years because of the resources we have gotten out of our federal arrangement and federal association of team unity, then of course it is much more than the other side can say they have gotten. And if we are committing to build on what we have already gotten, it means that even much more will be had out of this arrangement going forward. And I'm being positive tonight because I know the capabilities of the Honorable Mark Brantley. I know the capabilities of the Honorable Eric Evelyn. I absolutely am sure of my capabilities. And the examples of my exploits as a Minister of Government in the Nevis Island Assembly is there to show. Over the last 7 years, all I've done is roll up my sleeve and I've gone to work, and I continue to work. You know, this afternoon I was visiting some of our constituents. I told them I was 51 years. 51 years old. They tell me you look like you're 40. I tell them I don't only look like I'm 40, I behave like I'm 40, and I perform like I'm 40. That's why you see me up and down this island, working hard and ensuring that I bring results to the people of Nevis. So at least, if the people of Nevis 11, St. James and St. Thomas Parish, if you are to look at my exploits, and I'm making commitments to you tonight, It therefore means that your decision come the 5th of June, that is next Friday. It should be an easy one, very easy. Because if, for example, the other side is calling you and asking you to vote for their candidate, and you ask them, name me one thing that Patrice Nisbet has done over the last 20 years. Name me one thing that he has brought to the constituency of Nevis 11 over the last 20 years. And they cannot answer that question. I think that is an indictment on the gentleman, and it should be a clear reason why you cannot vote for him one more time. I said last night, persons come to you and ask for a chance. He has come 4 times. He came in 2000 and asked you for a chance. You gave him the chance. He came back in 2004 and asked for another chance. You gave him the chance. He came back in 2010 and asked for a 3rd chance. You gave him the chance. He came back in 2015 and he asked for another chance. You gave him the chance. Man, 4 times is a lot of times. So I'm coming to you tonight and I'm asking for just 1 chance. And over those 5 years, between 2020 to 2025, God spare my life, and I am able to bring just one thing to the constituency of Nevis 11. I would have done one thing more than Patrice would have done over the last 20 years. And I am so confident that I'll do much more than one. Because if I've done so much in 7 years, it means that over the next 5, when I'm on the bigger stage, when I'm in the federal parliament and cabinet, where the access to resources are there, then of course, just like I've asked that pier be built over there at Oale, when many on the other side spoke negatively about it, when they went the length and breadth of Nevis and said it should not be built, all sort of negativity, I said it will be built, and it was built. You know the interesting thing? I stepped on that pier this morning, and oh, what a wonderful feeling. The wind was blowing so nice and cool. And I got on a boat, went across to St. Kitts and came back and disembarked, and it was a wonderful feeling. And you know, that pier represents a quantum leap forward for the island of Nevis, you know. I don't care what they say. They could come with all they want. Because you remember the option that was just up about 100 yards up the beach. I saw one day, I was down there and I saw a tourist. She was going to Nisbet Plantation. The young lady came off. And that lady fell and injured herself. When I saw that, I said, this is not the welcoming atmosphere you want for visitors to the island. It is certainly not the welcoming atmosphere you want for your citizens. So I said something had to be done. When the opportunity came to buy that particular property, beachfront property, I don't care what they say costs, because there is a cost to everything. But if you want to build a pier on the ocean, we are not a government who are going to say build a pier up in Raleigh, you know. It got to be on the ocean. So if you get an ocean front property in Jones Estate, it's going to be expensive. It ain't going to be cheap. So we have bought it, but that particular facility is not for tomorrow, you know. It's not for the day after or the month after. It is for years to come. Just look at the facility here in Charlestown. Look at the pier here in Charleston that was built so long ago, and it continues to provide services. It continues to provide that connection to Basti and other areas and other ports. So when you build something, when you improve the infrastructure, it is not for today or tomorrow or next week. It is for many, many, many years to come. Long after we are gone, persons will be enjoying the features of that facility. And that's how you think as a representative. That's how you think as a government. And that's what you do when you're elected and the powers are entrusted in you. As a minister, your job is to develop the island of Nevis, do what you're asked to do and what you're mandated to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I pointed out that facility. I'm proud of that. Because you know what? Let me stand up straight, because all I'm doing is to make sure that Nevis develop, and Alexis Jeffers can point to something that I can call my legacy. My legacy, and I'm proud to say that. I don't care who don't want to talk about their legacy, because once I'm done with politics, I can always relax and look back and said that the people of St. James, for example, would have voted for me time and time again to go to work on their behalf. I would have gone into government to work on behalf of the people of Davis, and there are the examples. There they are. Just like the Newcastle police station. When we started that facility, didn't have much money. Started with almost nothing. I believe we started with about $50,000, but I told the PS Finance, I'm going to start, and we must get them finished. That was my belief then. It is still my belief, and it's almost complete. Listen, let me say to all of you, anytime you see that gate open on any given day, just go in and take a look. Just take a little look. Wonderful facility. I believe it can rival Park Hyatt. It can rival Marriott. It can rival Four Seasons. Beautiful, beautiful work. Wonderful work. And I know our policemen and women and firemen and women are eager to get into that facility. That had to be done because that is my constituency. And it was needed, of course. You're right, Charlie. But what I'm saying is that when you go into government, when you're elected by the people, you're elected to serve, you're elected to work, you're elected to represent. That word represent. And as such, I've come to this particular juncture in my presentation. You have to ask yourself, have you received any return on your investment? Nevis 11, have you received any return on your investment in Patrice Nisbet? Have you received any return on your investment? You have invested in him for 20 long years. You have invested in him for 240 months. You have invested in him for 7,300 days. What do you have to show for that investment?
That now go happen. That will never
What do you have to show for your investment? If I invest in any stocks, whether in TDC, Bank of Nevis, whether it is Hosford, whomever is selling shares on the Eastern Caribbean Stock Exchange, I'm looking for a return on my investment on those shares. If I start losing money on those shares, I'm selling out and putting whatever is left in my pocket. So I say to you tonight, you have invested in this particular gentleman for the last 20 years, and if you have nothing to show for it, time to turn him in. Turn him in. Get rid of him by way of the ballot, and let's move on to something more progressive, something more beneficial, something more than you have had for the last 20 years. So keep that in mind. What have you gotten? What is your return on that investment for that period of time? And if you have gotten nothing, it's time to get out of that stock. You need to, well, I don't think you can sell him. So I ain't going to say sell this stock. But what I'm saying, do not cast a vote for Patrice Nisbet to waste your vote on an investment that has borne no fruits whatsoever. And I am confident that the people of St. James and St. Thomas's have that intellectual capacity to make the right choice and the right decision come June 5th. Because you know what? They will be voting for Alexis Jeffers this time. I came to you in 2010. I came to you in 2010. And I was new to the game then. I didn't get that chance to represent you. But you know, let me go to 2010, because I know when Patrice Nisbet received the mandate in 2010, I bet you all didn't know he was going to join with Labour. I bet you all he didn't tell a soul in Nevis 11 that when I get that vote and that nod, I was going to join with Labour. He didn't say that. We were home that Sunday afternoon when we hear the swearing in ceremony and you hear Patrice Nisbet in Labour government. Oh my goodness. My goodness. It was a shock to me. It was a shock to me. So when a man take up your vote without telling you what his intentions are and sell out that vote to the Labour Party, I said that's another reason to shun him. Shun him. And that is why over the years you have heard that Nevis no want nothing and the Labour Party and his leadership enjoy hearing that because they really don't want to give Nevis nothing either. I really don't want to give Nevis nothing. That is why they love him and they embrace him. So the people of St. Thomas's and St. James, when you vote for Patrice Nisbet in the past, they loved it in the Labour Party because they said, that is my guy. Thank you for sending him. And of course he went and brought nothing, as I said. So 2010 I started. Lost in 2010, but that's okay. Came back in 2015. And I thought at that point in time, after being in the Nevis Island Assembly and also in the cabinet of the Nevis Island administration, and I was doing so many things in both constituency, it was time to give me that nod to go forward, to do even more. But that did not happen. But it wasn't daunting in any way to me. I saw the loss as a gain. Sometimes in negative situations, you can pull out the positive. We lost by just a mere 92 votes. And I said, listen, next time around, those 92 votes will be gone. And that is why this time around, I'm asking the people of Nevis 11. If I don't see you face to face on the campaign trail in terms of coming to your door and asking for your vote, I'm asking you from these microphones tonight.
CCM go keep it up, keep it up, just keep it up, keep it up, CCM.
I'm asking you from these microphones tonight. Please consider me, please vote for me. Please give me the chance to represent you for the next 5 years. And as I said before, and I'll say again, if after 5 years and I don't bring one thing to you, I won't want your vote in 2025, God spare life. But I'll say to you, from a positive standpoint, I will do even one thing more than Patrice have done over the last 20 years. Your investment in me, I am one of those stocks that is going to be a dividends over the next 5 years because I am ready for the task. I'm ready to transform lives in Nevis 11. I'm ready to transform lives in the island of Nevis. I'm ready to work with you, sit with you and take your issues seriously and make sure that I can take care of them to the point where I can bring results to you. So ladies and gentlemen, we have some clear choices in this upcoming election. Well, choices in terms of candidates. In Nevis 9, we have our party leader. He has been in the federal parliament for the last, 2007 to now. How many years is that? By a long time. How many years? 2007, 13 years. Yeah. 13 wonderful years. You know why? He got into government or into the parliament on the opposition bench. He was the leader of the opposition, did a remarkable job. And many times the former leader the former prime minister, I should say, had all kinds of things to say. It was like a thorn in his side. But even if he was not in government, his representation was there to show. Because when bills were being debated, when laws were being enacted, when the government was to be held in check, at that point in time, the Honorable Mark Brantley was there to do that. One of the phrases that I always remember, and boy, he burned the former prime minister so bad. Some people are in the arrival lounge, and some are in the checkout lounge. And he said something to the extent, I've just arrived, so you know who is in the checkout lounge, you know. And he did check out in 2015. Never to come back again. Well, if the people of St. Kitts want to make that mistake, it's up to them. But I'm going to tell him that the sidekick that he had from Nevis in the NRP, who he used as a lackey, who he used as a joker, had for a joke, is not coming back over there to be used again. Serious people are coming. So Mark Brantley for Nevis 9, our party leader. Leader has to be there because he's going to lead us over to St. Kitts. That's the Honorable Eric Evelyn of Nevis 10. And no matter what they say about Eric, as time go by, you'll get like me. You'll come with vim, vigor, and vitality. You'll come like a punch to them. Don't worry, you'll be fine. No matter what they say, you have what it takes. Because so as we go, you'll go as well. And we have what it takes in this great party. In Nevis 11, I've made a case tonight. And I'll continue to make the case over the next 4 or 5 days, down to June 5th, that I am the best man for this particular election, the best man to win this election, to make sure that we have the best representation over there over the next 5 years. I saw the other guy this morning, sometime today I should say, but I don't look tired. 20 years could make you look tired, true? Because the former prime minister, just look at him too. Look tired. Tired. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nevis 11. It is time for us to turn on your page there in Nevis 11. It's time to usher in new representation in that constituency. It is time for us to chart a new course. It is time for us to begin a journey that will bring about the transformation of lives in that constituency and by extension the island of Nevis. Now once that happened, I've always said that as Nevis go, so does St. Kitts. As St. Kitts go, so does the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. As we go, we'll be a force to be reckoned with in the OECS, in CARICOM, and the wider region, and on the world stage. Because any one of us, any three of us here, wherever we go to represent, we can represent and represent well. I've gone to numerous countries to represent the island of Nevis and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I can represent anywhere. So I asked the people of Nevis 11, invest in me on June 5th. And the results will be there to show 5 years later, God's spare life. Ladies and gentlemen, just about 10 o'clock, I said that was my cutoff time for tonight. So I want to close by thanking you for listening. I want to say, anyone out there who have doubts about voting June 5th, I say, these are serious elections. These are serious times in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Go out and vote. Vote for your great CCM party. Vote for Mark Brantley in Nevis 9. Vote for Eric Evelyn in Nevis 10. And of course, vote for Alexis Jeffers in Nevis 11. When it's all said and done, it's all free for we. Let us keep the momentum. Let's continue to build this great federation. Build the island of Nevis and build lives. And make sure that all of us can prosper in this great federation. Thank you for listening and God bless you all.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They are the 10 more. We voted for CCM again. CCM, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up.